Actually,
Better kick it on.
oh no,
Uh,
I screwed it completely.
We are live. Hello, everybody. I just wanted to hop on and have like a little story time. I would like to hear other people's experiences that they've had in this area. This is my friend, and yes, we've had experience before. We haven't gotten on an investigation, have we? No, we
No,
didn't
not
get to.
yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. But yeah, I would like to know what you experienced, what got you interested in paranormal, stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah, my name's Dalen, and I've always been into the paranormal. I guess ever since I was a kid, I've always, I don't know, just had a fascination with, like, I don't know, things that I guess you're not supposed to get in. You're not supposed to seek. You know what I mean? My whole family is very religious, and I don't really consider myself religious. So, but I was raised Southern Baptist, so talking and doing those things was a very taboo no. You know what I mean? Growing up, so and I guess I'm one of those types that I want to touch the stove to know it's hot. You know what I mean? So I definitely grew up very, you know, uh, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very repressed. Is that the? Anyways, yeah. So I grew up, kind of always had a fascination with it. Um, I used to always wonder, is God real? This and that and the other. And I guess through many years, I have. I don't think I've had like the craziest experiences, but I have had some. I've had a few. Some of the more interesting things that I've had, I guess, would be considered in the paranormal field. To me, it was very paranormal and things I can't explain. But I'll kind of go through a few of that stuff, a few of my encounters, I guess you could say,
Okay.
with you guys. So, but anyways, so funny enough, the speaking of my family and my background, so my grandmother, her name is Perline, and she's no longer with us. God bless her soul. But she was like uh, the I guess you could say, like, the most everybody looked up to her in the family. Like, she was like, could not. Yeah, she was the what, the matriarch. Yeah, that's a good word. She couldn't do any wrong. She was perfect in every way. I loved her to death. She was really my mentor growing up. But she was very religious, and so uh, you know, I wasn't really allowed to really talk about that stuff, like I said. But when my grandfather died, her husband, they were married like 40 years or something, long time. I'm not sure the exact number on that. But anyways, I was probably, oh gosh, I had to have been maybe 16 years old, 17 years old when this happened. And this was really my first experience. So funny enough, and I look back at it and I think, was it because, was my mind playing tricks on me? So I actually, so the way it happened, I had just got through watching uh, a live episode of Ghost Hunters, and I can't. They're in some abandoned building, and it was going on like all night or something like that. And they were doing it live with all these cameras and stuff like that. And so I don't know if I was just in my head about it, but I saw what I saw. So, anyways, I finished watching it, and I was sitting in the dining room. If you could picture, there's like a dining room, and then and in front of me was the living room, and my grandmother was watching TV. It was probably about 10:30 at night, maybe even 11. It was late, and she was sitting there watching TV. The lights were kind of dim. I was eating a bowl of ice cream. And just past the living room on the right hand side was the bedroom door to my grandmother's bedroom. And I had asked her, um, "Hey, Grandma, do you feel like Grandpa is here in the house with us?" And she just nonchalantly looks like it was nothing, and just turned around and looked at me and said, "She said, oh, I see him all the time." And I was kind of taken back by that because I was raised, I couldn't talk about it and all this stuff. So for her to say that, it was just kind of like a wow moment. Like, okay, so she does think that that's real. And as she said that, not even seconds after she said that, I looked over to the right, and I in the doorway, it was pitch black, the lights were off. But my grandfather was a very hairy man. His arms, he had just, I mean, really hairy white arms where there's just a lot of white, long, curly hair. And he used to always wear this really gold Rolex. And in the door, as plain as day, I seen his arm with that gold Rolex. I couldn't see anything else, just his arm, and it just slowly moved past the door, going back into the room. And I literally like dropped my spoon into the bowl. And now that I think about it, that's when I had asked my grandmother. I was like, "Do you ever see Grandpa or anything like that?" She's like, "Oh, I see him all the time." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I think I just saw him." And I think to myself, I'm pretty sure that that was my grandfather telling me to take care of my grandma, to watch over her, because she was getting older. And now she was alone. And yeah, that was a pretty crazy first experience. It was plain as day. It was very, how do you say? I wasn't scared. I was more shocked. I wasn't expecting that. But the message came across, and I like knew immediately what it meant, and it was meant for me. And I don't know, I felt kind of special. You know what I mean? Like I got to experience that. Looking back on it, I wonder. I tell myself, well, maybe I didn't see that. Maybe it's because I was just watching this ghost hunting show, and my mind was just wanting to see something like that. But I saw what I saw, and I don't think it could have been anything else. It was pretty dark, so it wouldn't have been any shadows. There was nobody really moving in the house. Right, we were both sitting still. It just couldn't have been anything other than that. You know what I mean? So that was kind of my first experience, and it was a cool one. It's a good way. It's a peaceful way to kind of get introduced into the paranormal. But anyhow, that was kind of my first experience. And going fast tracking forward, and years later, I've had experiences where um, that where I see things out of the corner of my eye that I can't really explain. I'm very ADHD, so it's hard for me, I guess, to sit down and put a lot of things into logical sense because my brain moves so fast, and I will speak before I think a lot. So a lot of the times I just kind of push that off as, oh, okay, my mind's just racing and thinking things up and whatnot. But I haven't, like I said, I haven't had the craziest experiences with ghosts. I think my crazier experiences has been more demonic experiences. And in a nutshell, I'm not going to go into super detail about all that, but I don't know if you're familiar. Have you ever heard of stuff called gang stalking?
No.
No? Okay. So I'm not going to go like super deep into it. You should look into it. And, I guess there's a lot of people that could say, for me, it was very paranormal because there's no other way that these things could kind of happen. It's almost as if, like, if you mixed paranormal with like having like a visit with like a UFO or something like that. Like you see things and hear things that shouldn't actually be happening that are actually happening.
Yes.
You know, and people knowing things that they shouldn't know and just doing weird things and hearing voices in your head. And I'm not schizophrenic. I've never heard voices before. And but anyways, it was almost like I was like somebody was on the other end, you know, with like a voodoo doll or something, and that was messing with me. And so I kind of go through kind of that experience, if you want. And it was kind of traumatic, actually. So uh, I was homeless and for a while, and I was, you know, probably not the best person in the world without getting into detail. But I was making a lot of mistakes. I was in my mid 20s, and and this all happened on three different occasions in the same part of town, and in the Oak Lawn area, actually, in Dallas. And if you're not familiar with what Oak Lawn is in Dallas, it is more of, I guess you could say, the neighborhood. I guess that's what you could. I guess you could say that. But anyways, I was homeless and I was, you know, not in the best time of my life, but nevertheless, and I was doing those things, and I don't know. It was weird, you know. At this point, I was actually the first time it happened to me. I was in pretty good head, actually. I wasn't too crazy, and it all started when I was so. What I would do is, because out there it's kind of scary. I don't know if, you know, if anybody's listening to this. I don't know if you've ever been homeless, but you kind of, it can be scary at points because you don't know if you're going to get robbed. You know what I mean? You try to stay away from dark alleys. You want to be more in the public, so that way, you know, you feel a little more protected. Like, not many things can happen to you there. Nobody's gonna be stupid enough to do that. So what I would do is I would post up where all the clubs were, stuff like that, and I would just kind of be out there. I wasn't the type to like be begging for money or anything like that. I would just be there trying to, you know, put my head in my shirt, just kind of get some rest and you know, deal with it. And anyways, so I don't know. It was a strange night. You know, it really was. So I I ended up in this pizza place. Somebody offered to buy me some pizza. I was like, great, I can eat. And so I'm there, but this is when it all started, and I don't know, everything just seemed really weird. I don't know, and it was like everybody that I was talking to that was coming up to me is as if I had like met them before, and I knew them from somewhere. Have you ever had like the feeling of having like a deja vu?
Yes.
Well, it was kind of like that, but it was me. I was seeing these people, and they all started like they were being really nice to me at first, but then like it changed to like them like kind of like mocking me and making fun of me, and I don't know. It was a darker energy that was happening, and I don't know if it was like a darker entity like entering into them and like doing this to me, but I felt something, a presence of something evil, and it was unsettling. So anyways, I ended up leaving there. I don't remember exactly what, but I ended up leaving there, and I went to then the morning came, and it was cold. It was actually, it was cold outside. It was drizzling, and I was pretty cold. So I was trying to stay indoors somewhere, that anywhere I could. So there was a Starbucks that opened up that morning, and I was in there. I had a few bucks and I bought I don't know, a drink or something like that. Not really a coffee drinker, but I don't remember if I'd gotten a coffee or whatever. But anyways, I'm in the Starbucks and I'm just sitting there. It was really busy this morning. I think it was like a Sunday morning, and it was really busy. And there's lots of people. They're all talking to each other and stuff like that. But this is when the really weird stuff kept happening, or started happening rather. Um, Now, mind you, I had already gotten some sleep. I wasn't like out of my mind or anything like that. I was pretty normal. Um, Being on the streets can kind of make you feel kind of crazy because you don't really get the best rest and you don't really get the best, I don't know. It's difficult. It's hard on you. You know what I mean? Because you're constantly worried, about things.
Your
And you're
brain
very
doesn't.
paranoid, I guess you could say. But
Yeah.
I wasn't like in the worst possible mind. But anyhow, I was sitting there, and I'll make this short. I don't know how long do I have? Do I have? Am I being cut off?
No, no, no. I was just saying your brain really don't have time to shut down
Right.
for your body to rest
Exactly.
completely. So
Exactly. And mind you, and I have been up for days before, and I have been in that mindset set where I know what sleep deprivation can do to you. I've been there.
yeah,
I have hallucinated from sleep deprivation before. I have, I've done all that, and this wasn't that. I wasn't near that. You know what I mean? And so anyhow, um, so I'm sitting there and I'm hearing things. These people talk about subtle things. It started off subtle, and they were talking about these things, but it were things that were personal to me that I knew. Like, how could they be talking about that with somebody else? Talking about as if they were talking about a friend of theirs that it's something that happened to, but the same exact things had happened to me, and I'm
yeah,
literally watching their mouths move, so I know they're actually saying it, and they're saying these weird things, and they just keep going on and on and on, and it was weird, and it's embarrassing things, that I've gone through that I wouldn't have really told anybody, and they're talking about it just nonchalantly, like as if they're just having a normal Sunday morning conversation with their friends, sitting there having coffee, and they're talking about some really off the wall things, and you're like, okay, this can't be real. Like, okay, maybe I'm just, I don't know, thinking too much into this. Maybe I'm just not that crazy, and there's other people that's done some really wild stuff, and I'm not going to get into all that. But it was very personal, and it kind of, it felt like I was getting that feeling again, like something evil, and I was
yeah.
like, this is wild. Like, what is happening? And so, anyways, this went on for like an hour, and I'm just sitting there and I'm just taking it all in, and they just keep going on and on and on. By this time, I swear to you, the whole Starbucks, all these people were just like talking about just weird stuff that I'd gone through. I say an hour. It was probably like 45 minutes. It felt like an hour though. And so, anyways, all of a sudden, and I promise you, this guy opens the door, this homeless guy, I'm pretty sure he was homeless. He opens the door and walks in and goes, Jalen, and screams my name. And the place kind of quiets down. And he turns around and walks back out. And as he's walking out, he's like, it's time to go. And I'm like, whoa. Like, I stood up, my heart's like racing at this point. And I'm like, is this real? Am I in a movie? Like, what is happening right now? Like, am I on like the show Punked or something? Like, I don't, it was really weird. And so I got up and I'm like shaking, and I'm just I don't know what's happening. And but this whole time I like have this like sense of evil. And so then I go outside. It takes me a second to like catch myself, maybe like a minute. And then I finally get up and I go outside, and this guy's nowhere to be found. And I don't see him. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. And like, so I just start walking. I just start walking. I didn't know what else to do. So I just start walking. And then about 10 minutes later, I could hear people screaming at the top of their lungs, saying, get out of here, and saying like derogatory slangs, get out of here, calling me names. But I was trying my hardest to find where these people were that were screaming at me. And this went on for like another 20, 30 minutes. And I'm walking up and down the road, trying to like looking through the alleyways, looking, trying to find these people who are screaming at me, and I can't find them. And anyways, I said at that point, I was like, okay, this is enough. I got to just get on a bus and get out of here. So I did. I got on a bus and I got out of there. And that was that. It just stopped just like that. And it was a weird experience. I'll tell you that. Um, it was weird. And at that time, I didn't know what gang stalking was or anything like that. I just thought it was like demonic evil, and I still believe that that is still part of it. I still believe that's what goes into all that. Um,
Yeah.
but at that time, I didn't know what was happening or what that was that I just experienced. But it was quite the experience, and it was terrifying actually, because it was evil, and it felt like all it felt like is I wasn't wanted there, and they wanted me gone out of that space and away from there, and it worked because I got out of there. Um, so yeah, that was the first time it happened to me. And it gets crazier. Um, the second time it happened to me, it was years later, and at this time I wasn't homeless. This time I just happened to be in the area. Again, I wasn't. I wasn't. I wasn't in the best part of my life, but I wasn't homeless at this point. But I was still, making fair mistakes here and there. And long story short, I'm not going to go through that this whole night, but I ended up back in the same area, in the Oakland area, hanging out with some people I probably shouldn't have been hanging out with. And I had ended up meeting this guy who was like, which at the time I didn't know, but I was hanging out with this guy, and I had taken him a ride to his house, and I didn't know that he was like Aryan Brotherhood, like. And then once I got in the car, this guy was like, "Oh yeah, I'm a skinhead. I'm Aryan Brotherhood." Blah blah blah. And I'm like, "Okay, that's not cool." Like, I don't want to be hanging around associating with people like that. So, anyways, I ended up like taking him home, and the whole time he kept telling me how he like makes bombs and all this weird stuff. And I'm like, okay, this dude is not a good person, number one. And number two, probably just out of his mind. Um, yeah. So I dropped him off and got rid of that guy real quick. And I was like, okay, it's time to go home. And so I went home, and that night, I don't even remember how it all started. My wife was there. But I kept feeling like, and I know this sounds so cliche, but I kept feeling like there was black SUVs following me around all night. And I had that same feeling. If you've ever had like a feeling like something bad is about to happen, I had that feeling the whole night. And in that same evil, just people you don't want to be around, things you don't want, entities you don't want to be around that are just like the most negative. I felt like I had an attachment, and and the places I had been, I most likely did have a dark attachment on me. And anyways, so I go home to my wife, and I'm telling her all these things, and I don't remember exactly how it all started, but I started hearing hearing things and seeing things. And I don't remember how I ended up in the front room, but I was like, at this point, I was just like so terrified. And because I was like having this feeling, and I was terrified. So I was in this front room. My wife thought I was crazy, and she just wouldn't give me the time of day. She was already upset with me. And anyways, I don't know what possessed me to sit in the front, our guest bedroom, and it faced the front of the house. Oh, I think what it was is because the guy kept talking about bombs and stuff. And oh, that's right. I ended up getting my car stolen that night. That's what it was.
No.
I ended up getting my car stolen that night, and by some other people who were nefarious and weird and whatnot. And so my wife had to end up come picking me up, and I think all these people had known each other, and they were like all Aryan Brotherhood, and it was terrifying. And I ended up getting my car stolen somehow, and I'm not going to go through all that, but yeah, they stole my car. and left me stranded. And I had my wife come and get me. And so I was already, the guy kept talking about bombs and this and that and the other all night. And so, anyways, I think what it was, I was afraid that because they had my insurance in there and I thought that they were going to like come to my house or something like that. Now, I do believe that a lot of this night was paranoia, because I had just already like been traumatized by these people that I'd somehow got myself in some kind of situation with these people. Anyways, and so I don't know what possessed me, but I was sitting. I think I tried to lay down in the guest room, and I just wanted to be by the front door just in case somebody came to my house. I think that's the way it started. And so, anyways, as the night progressed, I kept hearing things outside. Again, I don't know, paranoia, maybe, whatever. I'm pretty sure, like I said, I had this really dark attachment on me, and it was messing with me. And anyways, so I'm looking out this window, and I'm like, okay, I swear I hear things out there. Is somebody out there? I'm looking out this window, and I swear to you, all this weird stuff started happening, and I kept telling my wife, like I said, I have never. I'm not schizophrenic. I don't see things that aren't there. That's just not me. I've done lots of crazy things in my life, and I've never, I've never, I've never been in that situation before where that's happened to me. But anyways, so I'm seeing these things outside this window, and I know this sounds crazy, but I'm seeing like orbs in the sky, and they're like super bright, and they're like orbs, and they're like flying around, and I think I'm in shock. I literally see these balls of light just like hovering in the street right in front of my eyes, and they're like moving around, and I'm begging my wife to come look at this. I'm like, please. And I don't want to take my eyes off of it because I'm afraid if I take my eyes off of it, it's going to disappear. So I'm like begging my wife, and she's mad at me, mind you. She's in the bed trying to sleep. She has to work the next day. And I'm begging her. I'm like, please come look at this. Please come look at this. I don't want to feel crazy. I want to verify that this is, I'm really seeing this stuff. And of course she wouldn't. And so then, so anyways, so I swear there was a point where this person came walking underneath the street lamp, and it was weird, and I don't know, he just looked out of place. But I'm not going to go through all that. But all this weird stuff started happening, and of course, I feel crazy. I don't, at this point, I'm like, okay, I just got to be crazy. So, anyways, the next day comes, and my wife goes to work, and I take her to work, and the way the alley was set up there, we were living in Carrollton, and the way the alley was set up is at the end of the alley, there's like this big brick wall that separated our alley and our neighborhood, and there was like a business, like a business parking lot right behind it. Well, as I'm coming back, I see this black SUV. I know it sounds so cliche. I know it does. But anyways, I see this black SUV. And I don't know what made me think like something weird was, this guy was standing out. It seemed out of place. There was nobody else in this parking lot. There's nothing else. And he's like way far away from the building that nobody would park over here. But anyways, I didn't pay it too much attention, but at the back of my mind, this seems weird. He's like standing out there, like cleaning his car. This African-American guy. He's wearing like a suit. I'm thinking, okay, I don't know what made me feel weird about it, but something made me feel weird about it. But anyways, I just shrugged it off as whatever. So that night, I am taking a shower, and in where my bedroom was, we had a duplex, and where my bedroom was and where the shower was is there's no windows or anything like that. It's in like the back of the house. There's no windows, so it could be like pitch black back there. Not even in my room. But anyways, I'm taking the shower, and everything, nothing else weird happened that day. I wasn't even weirded about that SUV that I had saw. It just something like in the back of my mind, I was like, that's weird. And so I'm taking a shower. I have shampoo all in my hair. And I don't remember what I said to this day, but anymore, but I had said something like, "Whew, thank God that's over," because I just like went through this like traumatic experience, and then I swear to God, as loud as day, I heard, what did it? I can't remember exactly what it said. It was like somebody was standing in the room with me, in the bathroom with me, and they said, "Oh, that's what they said." They said, "Oh, oh, we're still here." I heard that clear as day. It scared. I don't think I've ever been more scared in my life. I literally ran out of the bathroom, shampoo all in my eyes, no clothes on. I ran and got into my car and was literally, I didn't even want to raise the garage door. I just wanted to back right through it and get out. I literally was about to do that. And I had to stop and catch my breath. I'm like, Dalen, you have to go put clothes on, and we have to, we have to put we have to put on we have to open the garage door. So anyways, so I go back inside, I get dressed, and I'm still terrified. I didn't even wash the soap out of my eyes, shampoo out of my hair. I had to go get my wife anyways from work. And so I get clothes on, I leave, I go get her. I am shaking. I am shaking at this point. And my wife can attest to this. She was with me. So I go pick her up, and I'm telling her, and she's like, "Oh, you're crazy. Just, you need to, eat, you need to just calm down, get some rest, whatever, you're crazy." And I keep telling her, I'm like, I swear these black SUVs, and again, I know that sounds so cliche, but as we're at this parking stop, we're at this stoplight, and we're in the middle. There's 3 lanes. We're in the middle, and there's a car in front of us, and we're at a red light, and there's a car to the left of us, and then there's a car to the right of us, and there was a black SUV. Now, I wasn't saying to my wife that I think this SUV is following us. I said, look, the SUVs that I feel like I keep seeing drive around look like that. And I swear to God, my wife was there to witness this. As soon as I said that, that SUV just took off. I mean, burned out and took a right. And I don't know what told me and tell my wife. I was like, follow him. And so he pulls into an apartment complex, and we're following. We're like running red lights. He's like running red lights to get away from us. It was weird, right? Like, why is this guy doing this? Like, I want to know what's this guy's problem is. Like, why is he driving the way he is? And he pulls in this apartment complex. Well, apartment complexes there's only one way in, and there's only one way out. And so we saw him. He went into the back of the apartment complex, and he like parked somewhere real quick. But we stopped, and we were probably 30 or 40 feet from him, but he never got out of, we sat there for like 10 minutes. He never got out of his SUV. He never got out of his vehicle. And I was like, okay, this has got to be just some weird coincidence. Even my wife was like, this is really weird. What is happening right now? But this has got to be a weird coincidence. So I told my wife, I was like, let's go park in the front of the apartment complex, and let's wait. If he lives here, he's obviously, going to go in his apartment or whatever. Maybe he just thinks that we're following him and he's scared of us. If not, he'll leave if he doesn't live here. So we sat there for probably 10, 15 minutes. I don't know what it was. And sure enough, this guy, I swear to God, 100 miles an hour comes out of that apartment complex. And we're like, oh my God. So we're following him again. And he's like trying to get away from us. Finally, this guy pulls into this bar. I don't even remember the name of the bar. And he parks his car, and we park our car. And he gets out, and I'm shaking. I'm like, okay, this is weird. I don't know if we're the weird ones or if this guy's the weird one. I don't know what's happening right now. And the guy walks over to our car. My wife rolls down her window, and I swear to God, it's that same African-American guy that was sitting in the parking lot behind my house. It's the same guy, same suit and everything. And he's laughing. And I just told him, I was like, dude, I don't know who you work for, but please leave me alone. And he's just laughing at us. And he's like saying, oh, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. But for somebody, then that's what made it weird, right? Because it's like, if he's running from us because he feels threatened by us, which there should have not been any reason for that. We weren't even behind him when he took off like that. And he's in another car. And even my wife at this point was legit scared. And like, that was the weirdest thing that we had ever experienced. And so it almost confirmed, and I'm glad that my wife was there because it confirmed what was happening to me. It was a little bit of a validation. Didn't explain any of it. So anyways, that kind of happened, and the guy left and we left, and I was like, please just leave me alone. I don't know what's happening here. So anyways, long story short, I ended up later on meeting somebody else who had gone through some of the same things. And apparently it's called gang stalking, and it's a real thing. You should look it up. It's terrifying actually. And what they do, and I think a lot of dark magic goes into it. And what they do is they target people who seem like easy targets. They target a lot of like drug addicts and homeless people, and it's almost as if like they do experiments on them. I don't know if you like familiar with like MK Ultra and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
some
But
about it. Yeah,
anyways, I'm sorry.
I said I've heard some about it.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. But you know, I'm not going to go into all what that is. But you know, it happened to me a third time in the same area years later, and I'm not going to go through that one. But that one was pretty dark, pretty wild, and I'll tell you this: there are things out there that are beyond that are even scarier than paranormal and ghosts and stuff like that. It they're it's absolute evil is what it is, and they can make people feel very crazy and alone, and they do it for fun, and they do it for entertainment, and it's I've never experienced. That's the most evil I've ever experienced. Even the third time is even crazier and even more evil, but I'm not going to go into it. But anyways, yeah, that's kind of my experiences, and which I've had. Like I said, I've had some other paranormal experiences, but I don't even know if I consider what I experienced that those times paranormal. But I feel like it was, because I felt like I had this like dark attachment, and the things that were happening to me I couldn't explain. But I was strong, and I'm a strong-willed person, and I don't allow those things to stick around very long. You know what I mean? And so I felt, like, hey, you gotta leave, and it never happened again. I've never experienced anything like that other than those 3 times. So I don't know. Am I crazy? I don't know.
No,
So
no, not at all. Yeah, I think a lot of times homeless people are vulnerable because they're out in the open. They don't have a place to go really go hide. Um, and those are the ones that, yeah, they're real easy to get attachments because they're
hmm
just out in the open. Sometimes they're not paying attention, and that's when they sneak in. But yeah, that's I see a lot of things happening in Austin that is pretty wild. And hopefully I could get some people on camera to talk about some of the experiences that they've had even downtown, like on 6th Street and stuff. Like I've been there late at night to early morning, and there's a lot of stuff happening, you know, like from I don't know what it's called when they move from like one body to another. Um, like when spirits are jump from one to another. Yeah, that's I don't know. I've heard it was pretty common over there. I've seen
really,
some stuff where people would be all right, but then I couldn't tell if it was the alcohol that changed them or what. Yeah.
well, they
And
do call it spirits for a reason.
yes, yes.
So
So, but yes, it was very nice having you on. How is your wife doing?
she's doing
She's
well. She just started a new job Monday, so she's pretty tired. She's getting back into the groove of it. When you get to sleep until noon every day, and then you gotta switch it up to wake up super early and go to a 9 to 5. It's one of those things. So she's pretty
yeah,
tired, but yeah, she's doing good. We're doing good, and yeah, family's good.
awesome. Yeah, we're gonna start getting out some more and everything. Do you know of any destinations like around you that are pretty questionable that you want to check out?
So I'm not super familiar with the Austin area.
Hmm.
Like I said, I've only been here 3 years. Yeah, 3 years. So I'm not super familiar with the area. I'm more familiar with like Dallas area because that's where I'm from. I know there's a
Oh,
really cool spot called Goatman's Bridge. I don't know. Have you ever heard of that?
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I've been there. So I went there.
They,
I've never had any experiences there. I've only been during the daytime though. But when I did go there, we went and I took my middle son with me, and there was like a pentagram with candles under the bridge, like somebody had legit did a seance or whatever they did
oh yeah.
under the. So it's a real spot. A lot of people say they've had experiences there. So yeah, that's a pretty cool spot up in Denton. But yeah, I don't know too many places around here. That's why I was kind of hoping you can kind of show me around.
Oh, yes, yes. And yeah, and then when it's time, we're gonna go check out Goatman's Bridge
Yeah,
at
I would
night.
love that. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
drive up there. You know, it's what 3.5, 4 hours, but it'd be worth it. It'd be fun.
yes, yes. We'll find out some little destinations to stop at on the way. We'll make it worthwhile.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, you take your sons out often on like little.
Yeah, sometimes. I only did it that one time. Uh, my my middle son was. We had just happened to watch the Ghost Adventures episode that
Uh,
day, and he thought it would be super cool. At the time, he was probably 10, so he thought it'd be super cool to go look at that. I try. I don't know if my kids, my oldest, maybe. I don't know if they would be ready to do like a night session. So that's why we did it during the day, just kind
yeah,
of as more of like just kind of check it out and look at it more versus hunting or anything like that. But um, my oldest would probably be ready for that, but I definitely wouldn't want to subject uh my kids right now at a young age, just being so innocent. I think that it could really it could do more harm than good. I think being that young. I think there was a point in my life where it would have been like that too, but I feel like I'm now where it's like I don't think that anything could attach itself to me. Like I'm too hard headed and too strong willed that ain't gonna happen. We can talk, we could play, it can show itself, whatever. We can bump fist, whatever, but it ain't coming in. It ain't coming in all this. So
yeah. Yeah, I have 2 sons, and, my youngest son, he wants to venture, but like I told him, like, he could help me on, like, editing and seeing stuff from the TV. That's the safest spot for him right now,
mhm.
because
Yeah,
there's so much that he needs to learn to even protect himself for when he goes out, so
right.
and my oldest, 24, he doesn't even wanna hold the camera. He's like, "You're on your own on that one, mom."
Yeah, sometimes you'll go seeking answers and you may not like the answer, or
Yeah,
or asking questions and you may not like the answer. So there's
yeah,
some pretty evil stuff out there that probably shouldn't be messed with. It takes a very special person to be able to handle something like that.
yes, yes. We get things that come across the device, and I'm all like, "Nice words, please," you know?
Yeah,
'Cause yeah, once they say like devil or something, I'm all like, "Oh no, nice words, please."
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask you: do you do a lot of provocation, like
What is that?
where you is that the right word, babe? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, provoking. Do you do a lot of provoking or do you just let them naturally come to you?
Yeah, I naturally I let them in. Um, I am like a magnet, and energies collect to me.
Mhm,
So they're they could be good, they could be bad. I stay polite and respectful.
mhm,
so I don't get any bad reactions, for them to touch me wrong or
Right.
whatever. Last night, we were at a place and so a gentleman whispered in my ear, "Get out." I was like, "Oh no." I said, "We've already been messaged to leave." Then the cameraman was like, went to like, "Oh, I just got a message too." He was like, somebody told him leave now or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of
That's spooky, man. That'll get you. I'm telling you, when I heard that voice in that bathroom, that was the most unreal thing because it was as if a human being with a very strong voice speaking loud and made sure to put the fear of whatever inside me. It shook me to my core. It was an experience.
yes. Oh man. Um, are you interested, you and your wife interested in going and staying at a haunted hotel overnight?
Yeah, that sounds fun. When?
We're thinking about next weekend. I'm trying to figure out if I want to go to In on the Creek or Shady Villa, which
I-
is Stagecoach now.
Isn't Shady
And
Villa the one place that y'all were going to take us before?
yes, yes.
Okay.
Um, In on the Creek, when we were at Shady Villa, one of the guests there, I don't know if he heard what we were doing by like talking or whatever, but he was all like, "Hey, did you catch anything?" And I'm like, "Oh no, what?" And he's like, "Did you catch anything?" I said, "Like what?" He's like, "Any ghosts?" I said, "Oh yeah, we're just setting up cameras. We haven't really reviewed anything yet." And he was like, "You're not gonna find nothing here. You need to go in on the creek." He goes, "It's right up the street." He goes, "You're gonna get a lot of stuff there." Well, by that time, that I think we've already stayed there 3 times at Shady Villa,
Hmm.
and never let us down. Like we've always got really good stuff out there.
Yeah.
And now I'm excited to go to the Inn on the Creek and start going and investigating there because yeah, I we went, me and one of the camera guys, we went in there and the gentleman showed us around and I was asking about certain things. There's a sofa as you walk in. It was cold and
Mm,
the cold was coming in and out behind me as I was walking into like the kitchen part.
nah.
And so I asked him, I was like, "What's up with the sofa? What is it? A settee? One of those like long little kind of weird shaped sofas." And so he was giving me the history of the house and that couch. And sure enough, the lady of the house used to sit there all the time.
Hmm.
Her thing was she would greet people.
Mm.
So he's like, This would happen and this would happen in this place." He was like, "You got to come back. You have to investigate." I was like, "Oh, yes."
And is
So
this an abandoned place or?
it's a bed and breakfast now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's a legit hotel.
Oh,
Well,
cool.
you
Do
know,
do they do they charge or do they just allow you to come up in there and investigate?
no, it's, we were going to just rent a room. And
Okay.
when we checked, it was like 109 at In on the Creek. Shady Villa was like 120.
Oh, okay.
So but I could see about getting maybe a media discount. I know at Shady Villa I was getting one there, so
Okay.
I
Right
could check
on.
it, see.
Yeah.
But
Document, man. Uh,
yeah,
yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. We did get to go the pleasure of going to I'll tell you this is a short one. We went to what's it called, babe, in Colorado? The Stanley Hotel from The Shining. Yeah, we got to
yeah,
go there. I actually have a piece what is it? She remembers everything. I'm terrible at remembering things. A piece of granite from the basement that we have here at home.
oh
Um,
no,
and so we did a haunted tour, And nothing really happened that I could say that was. I did catch an orb. I'll have to show it to you one of these days if I can find it. But it's hard to tell if it was a bug or was an orb. It did kind of vanish out in thin air, so I don't know. But we did when we were. I didn't catch this on video or anything, but when we were walking outside, you could hear. There was a group of us, but we were up front, and there was like four of us with the tour guide, and we heard some like old time music, like festival music, but it was like you could tell it was like old. And I didn't think much of it at first, but the tour guy was like, "Did you hear that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I heard that." And so we all kind of heard it. There was only a few of us that heard it. And we asked her, I was like, "Is there a speaker or anything out here playing music?" And she's like, "No, there's no speakers out here that can play music." And so we heard that. That was it. That really happened. That was weird to hear that. It was brief and it was faint, but you could hear it clear as day, like a festival going on.
Oh, wow.
That was cool.
Yeah,
The
that's
Stanley
always,
Hotel was awesome.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It would be always cool to get out there.
Uh huh. It's a long
Yeah.
drive. It's a long drive, but it's worth it. If you, I would love to get a few nights there. It'd probably be expensive, but we didn't get to stay there. We just drove up. We were staying in Colorado. Wait, we were staying in Denver to see a concert, and we just happened to drive up there and check it out.
Oh, okay. Cool. Well, Austin has an airport where there's certain flights you could get like $49 to Vegas.
Uh,
So I wonder if they have one that goes to Denver. I'd fly in and get a rental car and go right to that hotel. That's my
yeah,
vacation.
it's like a 2 hour drive north of Denver, wasn't it? Yeah, it's like 2 hours north. It's way up there though, man. If you don't do good with high elevation, my wife
Uh-huh.
could barely breathe up there. I mean, that we before the tour started, there was like my wife almost said she couldn't do it, and there was another person. She was young too. She was like young and thin, and she was like, "I can't do it. It's hard to breathe up there."
Oh
Mhm.
man.
But it's gorgeous. It's out in the mountains, and it's beautiful. It's
Yeah.
in the Rocky Mountains. Yeah, that's right.
Nice. Yeah. I want to go at least one time and
You got
experience it.
to. It's an experience. It really is. If you go, if I ever go again, I want to stay there so I can get like the full experience, not just a little tour. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, that I think that'd be awesome.
Mm,
Yeah, 'cause even when you just go rent a room, um, they pretty much let you just walk around, and a lot of times if you just go talk with staff, they'll let you in certain rooms and tell you
that's
the history
cool.
of stuff, and so you don't have to really go through a guided tour.
Yeah, yeah. The guided tours are cool, but I don't know. I if I were a spirit, I'd be like so annoyed with that.
Yeah. I'd be too cool to be hanging out with them.
Yeah, exactly. I would feel like I would rather like ghost hunters and whatnot are one thing, but just like the tours would annoy me because it would probably be a bunch of people that actually that may not even believe. Which is go tours are fine as being, but if I were a ghost, babe, if I were a ghost, I'd be annoyed with it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
but
and I
anyhow,
think the tours, they tend to try to hype things up a little
hmm
bit more to keep
hmm
everybody, involved,
hmm
to the tour, then they kick you out. But
hmm I'll tell
I
you,
I like hanging around and actually sitting in the dark and
right?
waiting for them to come to me.
Exactly. I'll tell you another really cool place that isn't that far. Probably the coolest place I've ever been. It was New Orleans. That place was wild with you could just smell it in the air, all the spirits and wow, and the history and the dark, horrible history of most of it. But there's some really cool spots down there too. I would love to go down there and do some
Oh,
investigations.
yes, yes. I think just New Orleans, yeah, I that'd be a week having to stay like one day in the cemetery. You're still not gonna get to know everything
Right.
and see everything, you know. Yeah, and then you have Marie Laveau's places out
Y-
there. Like I definitely
Isn't that the lady? Isn't that the lady who? Huh?
the Queen of Voodoo.
Yeah. Isn't she the one that got caught and like torturing and doing like weird experiments on humans? Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's her. Dude. Yeah. We did a tour that talked about her while we were there, and we actually saw the house. And man, the people she had like put people in the oven, and that's right. Some lady. That's how she got caught. Is one of the people she like captured was like doing weird experiments on. She like got free somehow and put herself in the oven to catch the plate to try to catch the place on fire by putting herself in the oven, and the fire started, and that's how the police got in there and found like all like secret chambers and people being tortured and wild stuff, man. Just
so
absolutely disgusting, horrible.
could be very dark, very
Yeah,
dark. And they
yeah,
have um vampires there.
yeah. Hmm. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Yeah, they were talking about that too. Yeah, yeah, that's where voodoo started too. We apparently went
Mhm.
on this tour where like the first where voodoo started in like this by this tree. What kind of trees are those? I can't remember. But it's the ones that are like real wavy, that has like moss hanging down from it. And it was like this really old tree where supposedly voodoo actually started right there. So it was pretty cool to see that and actually be there in that place. But it's
Yeah.
just you couldn't do see everything in a week. It would take you years to
Yeah,
go
to
through
see it.
all those places. It's so
Oh,
old.
and I know there's like spirits that walk freely that are just ready to talk, ready
Hmm.
to play with you too. Not only talk to you, but they're willing to play with you. They play with your mind. You got to be very careful because
Hmm.
again, that's the place of voodoo.
Hmm.
I believe that big portal there in, especially in New Orleans.
Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah, you got to be real careful, very mindful out there.
Yeah, you do. And and not only for the supernatural, but you don't want to go walking down a dark lit street out there because you will get mugged and robbed and maybe murdered real quick.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because my family is from Welsh areas, like up in the boot. And yeah, we just didn't go to Louis or go to New Orleans because of all of that bad energy stuff, you know. So
There
yeah,
there is there's a lot of bad energy there, but what I felt, my wife too, is it's very magical too. And it's just the energy there alone. You could tell that there's a lot of bad energy there, but there's a lot of good energy there too. And it's
yeah,
just so interesting and just so it's like another world. I don't know how to explain it. It's just the streets alone are just so old and sticky and just I don't know. So it's I've never been anywhere like it before.
is because yeah, it has its dark side, but at the same time, it has this loving energy because the food, you know, people
Hmm.
rude there to go to somebody's house and not eat something, you
Right.
know. So they love to feed people. That's why
Hmm.
we're so
Oh, I love some
with it.
Cajun food. It's the
Yes.
best. Heck yeah. The best seafood we ever had was in New Orleans. It was amazing.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's really nice out there. I miss the trail rides.
Yeah. So you've been to New Orleans before?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I have family in Baton Rouge.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
I may have driven through Baton Rouge, but never been. That seems like it would be a really cool place to go to as well.
Yes, yes. I've gotten really into plantation houses, and so I would love to go out there and do a segment on, not only like just do a segment on cemeteries, but another one on plantation houses, like all around that area.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting.
We went to, I don't remember the name of the cemetery, but it was really sad. It was so sad. We went to the cemetery where there's like, how many were there? It was thousands, wasn't it? It was either hundreds or thousands. I think it was thousands of unmarked graves from Hurricane Katrina that were
Yeah,
buried there, and it was absolutely sad. I mean, it brought a tear to my eye that there's just all these people, and imagine how, just one day you're living, and the next day you're just dumped into the ground, no name, no nothing,
right.
and it's wild, sad.
Yeah, that was really sad. And just to think, some of the elderly people, they never would have thought Katrina was going to be that hard, so they're
Hmm.
like, oh, no, I'm going to sit this out. We've always been good.
Hmm.
Yeah. And that was so bad, and it happened so quick, so quick.
So quick. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was awful. I remember sitting on, I don't remember what I was doing, but I was sitting on the side of not on the side of the highway, but I could see the highway 635. And I remember for like 20, 30, 45 minutes, it was a long time. And it was probably 1,000 buses. It was just bus after bus after bus after bus after bus. And that's when it kind of really hit me at how bad it was. It was right after Katrina, and they were just shipping people out to all over Texas, and
Mhm.
yeah, it's awful. I remember as a kid, I, I think I was a kid. I don't remember how exactly old I was. I was a young teenager, and I remember seeing this interview of this guy who was crying, and they're interviewing him, and he was like, "Yeah, I had my wife and kid in my hands, and then the next second they just got swept away." And I remember as a kid crying, hearing that. I was like, "Oh my god, like it's awful." I mean,
Yeah,
you can't take life for granted. That's for sure. Anything can happen. You can be here 1 minute and the next it's gone.
yeah, yeah, and it don't even have to be your fault,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's be nature. It
Mm-hmm.
just takes a quick second.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, we had that hurricane, that hit Jamaica just recently,
Yeah.
that's crazy. They was like, "Oh, don't ever hit over here. We're good. We're good."
Mm-hmm.
Then it hit, and I'm asking my friend, "Hey, is your family good over there?"
Yeah.
You know, I haven't heard a response yet. I'm hoping
Mm.
everything's okay.
Well,
But
prayers up there, because yeah, I heard it got hit really bad. Houston got hit pretty bad too. Um,
yeah,
yeah, Houston's down and out right now. Still people without power and
mhm,
floods and whatnot.
yeah,
I was kind of
yeah,
hoping I was kind of hoping that that hurricane would hit us because we need the rain so bad. But somebody put it into perspective for me that the other day, were like, he's like, as much rain as we need, we really didn't want any part of that hurricane. So
no,
because it was pretty destructive. I think it was worse than people had expected.
mhm,
So
yes, and I don't know. I've heard that we were going to have problems with hurricanes and tornadoes this year, and
mhm,
so far it's happening.
mhm.
So yeah, just gotta stay protected, stay in safe places.
We just need some rain, man. Golly, we need rain so bad. We're so dry here. It's sad because everywhere it rains, all around us, but Austin is just it won't rain. Any
No,
substantial rain, that's for sure.
it does rain. It just spits on us just a little
I
bit.
know.
Then it's
It
like,
teases
I'm
us.
done.
It just teases us.
Just a tease, yo.
Hmm. So,
Okay.
but it's gonna happen.
Um,
I mean, it's gonna start raining one of these days, and it's not gonna stop, and it's just gonna be a bunch of rain, and They were going to wish that it would stop raining.
Right. That's what I was gonna say. I'm gonna have to get my homegirls together. We're gonna have to go outside and do a little rain dance, and
Yeah.
hopefully we'll get some. This next week, we're supposed to be getting some rain, right? I think this weekend.
I'm not sure. I haven't seen what that. I haven't seen next week yet.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Well, I'll be having some new equipment come in. I'm excited to get out there and test it.
that's cool.
Come Sunday. Yeah.
I want to make an SLS camera, and I hear that I was looking at it, and it's really not hard. You just need to connect from a Wii U
Uh-huh.
and be able to hook it up to a laptop, and that's all you need. And
Oh,
that's what they use. Yeah, so it's a lot cheaper to make your own versus buying one that's already made. You just gotta do it. They actually have like blueprints on how to make them, and the parts you probably spend maybe 60 $70 on all of it. You just gotta get a holder to hold all of it, and
mhm.
work all that stuff. I'm not super techie like that, but I would love to do that. That would be fun. I like SLS. SLS is one of my favorite pieces of equipment.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we'll definitely have to check into that. I have been kind of shopping around with other people to see what they've came out with, like the little light up toys. I got a dump truck that
Hmm.
pretty interesting. But I was also telling Chad that I came across where you could buy the kit to
Hmm.
actually make your own whatever.
Hmm.
You just have that little well, it looks like a little battery pack with some wires,
Hmm.
the little sensors or whatever for the EVPs. So yeah, so I imagine we'll be able to find it somewhere.
Etsy has a lot of good stuff too. There's a lot of people out there that's DIYing. They're a little pricey,
Yeah.
but they're good quality. There's also what's that guy, babe, who makes those spirit boxes? Steve Huff. Do you know who Steve Huff is?
Mm-mm. I
Steve
have to
Huff,
check.
Huff. Yeah, he's probably in my eyes the most credible. He's not really a ghost hunter, but he makes these spirit boxes that have like crystals all over them, and he's a medium.
Mhm.
And that's what he does is he communicates that way, and he does all these sessions. I was actually a Patreon. I signed up with this Patreon a few years ago, and did a group session on Patreon for paying. And there was some really cool stuff that came through. His boxes are pricey, but they're the best, most clear spirit boxes I have ever heard. He uses like small guitar amps, and like I don't know how he does it, but he puts all these crystals on them, and they light up, and he makes some really cool spirit boxes. But to get one of his, I think you got to be on like a waiting list and wait for a good while. But if you want to hear some cool stuff, look up Steve Huff, Huff. He's on
Okay.
YouTube, but he's really credible. He's not one that's going to go to like a haunted site and look up stuff. But the spirits come to him, and he channels the spirits through him. He's a medium, and they come through the spirit box, and he's the real deal, and he's very entertaining. I love he comes at a from a place of love and light, and I just like him. He seems like a good person.
Nice. Yeah, I will definitely check that out. Um, I've been looking into spirit boxes and stuff.
Mm,
I think that's really awesome. I like the ones like you were saying his this was real clear.
mhm,
Like those that are clear without the white noise.
mhm,
Because sometimes after a while the white noise kind of affects me.
mhm.
Once it's turned off, it takes me a minute
Right.
to get back right. But
Mhm,
yeah, and it's I like the spirit boxes because um I could think of something like I'm fixing to ask a question, and sometimes if I'm able to like really bond with that spirit box, it's like it'll answer my question before I get to ask it, and I'm
That's
like,
so
hold on,
crazy you say that because
and
that
I'm like,
happens a
you're my
lot. I notice. It's like they know. And if you watch, like I was telling you, Steve Huff, that happens to him all the time too. It's weird.
yeah, yeah,
Cool.
yeah, it's pretty cool when you can bond with it, and it like I don't know, it's like you connect with the devices, in other ways, and it's
Hmm.
that other people can be in the room and see that your world is different, but you're not crazy. This shit's real.
Right. Right. You
Can't
know,
make this.
you can't. And it's so funny because I got a brother-in-law who is like total dogma and like doesn't believe in anything. He thinks we
Oh,
die and that's it. And so, he doesn't believe in aliens, he doesn't believe in nothing, and it's so boring. And it's like that's fine. He's entitled to his own opinion, and I don't knock it. I mean, he's entitled to that. That's what he does. That's what he thinks. But man, I just think to myself, I'm glad I'm not like that, and I can actually enjoy life, and I can open myself up to you know all the possibilities. You know, because it's endless. There's so many things out there that we don't understand or know, that are there, that are real. And
yeah.
I believe manifestation is a real thing. And my band, for example, my band that I'm in, we're doing really good, and we're doing very well. And I keep telling the guys, I'm like, look, I am manifesting this because I am so determined that this is going to happen. I don't worry about it. That's the thing. It's like when somebody says, "Oh, you can't do that." Well, I don't think of it that way. I think, okay, well, it's already happening, is the way I feel, and I just kind of manifest all these things. And it's funny because all these now we're like going around town, and like people will stop us and be like, "Hey, aren't you with so and so band?" And it's like, I don't know. And I keep telling them, I'm like, "Look, I'm telling you, I'm manifesting this." So they're starting to believe me, I guess, but they'll never admit it. But they know it's
Oh,
really happening. So,
that's awesome. Do you want to tell everybody the band name?
sure. I'm with Imperfect Circle. I mean, we're nothing too special. We're a tribute band, but we're Imperfect Circle. We're a Perfect Circle tribute out of Austin. I've got some other cool stuff coming out. I actually the Austin's number one Tool tribute. I would think Texas number one Tool tribute. Anyways, they let go of their singer, and they're big time. And they asked me. I was the first person they called and asked to come audition for them, which I don't think I made the audition, which is fine with me because I don't think I have the time for it. But it was still an honor to be asked by them. And then I'm also starting an Incubus tribute. That's up and coming. I'm trying to get that together. It takes a little while, a little work, to get all that stuff up and going. And then I'm also doing an original project that has no name yet, which is going to be awesome. It's my favorite project as of yet. So be on the lookout here. 2025 is going to be a really cool year. But yeah, Imperfect Circle is playing Hanover's in Pflugerville. We're playing August 2nd, I think. I don't know. I don't remember, but just go on our page. You can look us up, Imperfect Circle Tribute, on Facebook and Instagram, and we got all the deets there. And yeah, a lot of fun.
So, yes. And then I'm gonna have to go check y'all out too.
Yeah,
Go ahead a little bit.
you'll have to. Yeah, we really put a lot into our production and
Mhm.
whatnot. So it's a lot of fun. It's an experience. It's not just a band up there singing. It's a whole experience, and you just have to come and find out for yourself. If you ever seen like Tool and stuff like that, have you ever been to one of their shows? We're a lot like that. We have a lot of visuals. We bring our own lighting. Yeah, a lot of costumes and stuff like that. It's fun.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna be over there to the side with wifey hanging out.
Yeah, for sure. She's there every time. And then come, don't make sure if you come, you gotta check out our merch booth. We got some merch.
Awesome. Awesome. Yes. And once I can learn how to post the links to help you advertise your stuff, I'll be
Yeah,
sure to up on my page and everything. So
yeah, absolutely. No worries.
awesome. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and start wrapping this up. It was really nice visiting with you,
Yeah,
and we will be talking soon. Well, we will
yeah.
be out soon. So
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm glad I was able to tell the world my experiences because, to be honest, I don't really tell many people that because I mean most people probably think I'm just a crazy man. Um, but there's a lot more that I didn't say that happened, and it was very traumatic for me, and so it's nice and therapeutic to be able to tell people and not feel crazy. So
yes, and then hopefully somebody else will see this, and then they will feel the same thing. That dang, there's somebody else out there that actually experienced that. And
mm,
made it
mm.
through. Look how awesome you are now. So yeah. So
Well,
it's
thank
all
you
good.
so
I
much.
love reading. So I like to get the stories out. It's not a problem. Anytime you wanna hop on and chat, just let me know. If you want to talk about something and I'm down for it. So
All right,
it's all
sounds good. I can't
getting
wait
it
to
out.
do a hunt with you. I'm
I
excited.
know I'm very excited.
You gotta lock me in a room without telling me. Just lock it behind me and be like, "See you later." No, don't do that. I'm kidding.
I'm like, I have a plan. You're gonna stand right here. I'm gonna be back.
Right? Yeah. No, I don't know. I don't know if I want to do that my first time. Maybe let me get a little wet behind the ears, and maybe I'll do something like that.
Right, right. We'll try to take it easy. Well, on the first one, anyways. Can't promise nothing on the next one.
Yeah. No worries. I'm ready for it. We're ready for it. And the wife
Awesome.
says hello.
Great. Tell her I said hello, and I'm
Said
excited to.
hello.
Yeah, I'm excited to see her, and yeah, we're gonna get to work and have some fun.
Yeah. Sounds good. Just let us know when. And yeah, sounds fun. I'm excited. We're excited. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Okay, well, we'll talk to you later then. It was nice.
Bye.
Bye bye.